I think that designs that lack personality tend to be winning designs. Back in 2023, I became obsessed with a Japanese kids cartoon called Chikawa. This was really early on, before the West began to catch on to these characters. I would watch the show, collect the merchandise, and spend all my paychecks on it, and I remember thinking that, oh goodness, I think it'd be terrible if the evil Hello Kitty BPD girls managed to find out about Chikawa. God forbid my safe space is infiltrated by people who know nothing about my favorite show. And I was thinking, no way it could ever happen. And into that night, my friend and I continued to shoot the dead horse about whys and hows that would never ever happen. We came across this theory that Hello Kitty, and most of Sanrio in general, tends to attract people a lot easier than most other characters do, because of how emotionally flat the characters are. Here's Hello Kitty, and without knowing too much about her, or searching up her biography, what do you know about her? Not much, right? Is she your typical bubbly character? I don't know. Is she your typical introvert character? I don't know. Well, the I don't know seemed to be the intended effect, and as I was looking through the web, the original designer of Hello Kitty actually said that Hello Kitty speaks from the heart, her expressions are felt, not seen. And Sanrio also confirms that they want people to project their feelings onto the character. So if this design technique is so good and literally earns you $1 billion in revenue just in 2025, which is insane, why doesn't everyone else do it? It's the method, right? Well, guess what? Hatsune Miku is literally another example of this. Krypton Future Media, the company behind her favorites like Miku and the twins and Luca, they released Miku with a very simple biography with just her age, her height, and her weight. That's pretty much it. We know like little to nothing about her innate personality, and because of this, it's so easy for people to project their own emotions onto her. Granted, she's had her own movies where she does have a bit more of a developed personality, but this is like 2 decades after she's been released. I don't want to count these because the average Miku fan probably didn't even watch it. We all pretty much know her for the music and the character itself, but not the personality. Another great example of this is Link from Legend of Zelda. Nintendo literally confirmed it and said that it's intended that the player feels like Link. And to take a step further, they don't even let Link talk, he just grunts when he hits stuff. The reason why this works is because of psychological projection. You know those ink blots that you see therapists in movies flash at their clients, but as someone in therapy I've never ever seen? The Rorschach test? When the thing you're looking at has no fixed meaning, people tend to draw their own internal interpretation to fill it in. That's why we have phenomena like pareidolia, where you just try to find meaning or find similar images in a repeating pattern or very simple patterns. Or in more severe situations, it become like delusions of grandeur. And to put it in a more relevant perspective, this is Scott McCloud, who is a comic artist that's written for DC Comics, and he came out with a book named Understanding Comics. And in there, he calls this effect amplification through simplification. And the core idea is that whenever you see a realistic, detailed face, our brain likes to see that as someone else's face. Like the more you put detail into where a mole goes, or how the hair parts. Maybe you put like a weirdly centered middle tooth on your Baldur's Gate character like Tom Cruise. All these features together create another human. But if you take all that away and maybe reduce it to just eyes and maybe even take away the mouth, you'll see that a simple abstracted face looks almost like every other face, including yours. He argues that your mental self-image is actually closer to a cartoon than a photograph. And that's partly because you've never seen your face directly. And I don't count images because camera lens have distortion and there's never a true mirror and mental bias and all that jazz. This theory definitely applies to personality because let's say like Hello Kitty has 100,000 fans, and amongst these fans there's like 50% introverts, 50% extroverts. If Hello Kitty happened to grow a personality of a golden retriever, I'd be damn sure that up to half of those people would not be as immersed or attached to her anymore. And that's just one of the new factors we're adding in. If we're adding a personality, that also means adding a lot of other things like favorite foods, favorite shows, where she's from, political bias, religion, ethics, and morals. The more details you add to her, the weaker this psychological mirror becomes. I think that this type of character design makes total sense while creating commercially successful designs. You get so many people commenting, that is so me, that's literally me. But what you need to realize is that commercially successful designs are also safe designs. If you're trying to develop a commercially successful character, in some ways, I can kind of see it being an overlap with how the K-pop industry chooses to package their idols. To be emotionally flat, fence-sitting PR goats that never say anything controversial, just to keep the immersion and attachment as strong as possible for as long as possible. While I do disagree with the ethics of packaging and branding these human idols, that doesn't mean I hate the design of any of these blank canvas characters like Miku or Link. I actually really love them. I have so much Miku stuff. I think it's just interesting that this is one part of the toolbox for designers to use. But if this does become a trend, I definitely think it'll turn a lot of our media very sterile, almost into like a Darman script. I don't see this happening anytime soon though. I think we're in the clear. I'm curious if you guys agree or disagree, or if you guys have any extra commentary on why these blank canvas character brands tend to work so well. Thank Thanks for tuning into my first video ever. I'll appreciate any sort of support, and I'll see you all in the next video.